Hello and welcome to episode 2 of 12th Man, Bexley Heath Cricket Club's videocast. Today I'm joined by club legend and chairman of Bexley Heath Cricket Club, Harry Monk. Good morning, Harry. How are you?
Hello, Chris. I'm all right, thank you. You?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good, thank you.
Good.
He's on the show by overwhelming demand. I've been asked by several people to get H on the show. They particularly are interested in his all-time Heath 11. I think a few people are interested to see if they make it in there, and to kind of hear Heath in black and white back in the day, I think. So how it works is we're going to go through Harry's all-time Heath 11. We're then going to do 10 of the best. And then we're going to end on 10 quiz questions, which were devised by Ben Moore, actually. And we'll see how he gets on with those. Just before we do any of that, I was just going to tell a brief story that I came across. Harry, have you heard about anything about a cricketing horse?
A cricketing horse?
Yeah.
No, I haven't, no.
You haven't? Okay, well, I'll tell you about this. So this is how the story goes. There was a cricketing horse that apparently has played a Kent Cricket League match. And the story goes like this. One day, there was a horse kind of grazing in the field, eating some hay, and overlooking this field was a cricket pitch. And the horse was there with one of his mates. And on this particular day, the horse was kind of watching the cricket. And as he was watching, two men started to have a little walk round, and the horse could overhear them talking about, one of them was a club captain of the local team and was saying that on the Saturday they had a big top of the table clash, and he thought they were going to be one player short for that game. Two men continued their conversation and continued their walk off into the village. Once they'd gone, the horse was talking to his mate and was kind of saying, you know, I've always been interested in playing cricket and giving it a go, but I've never really had the chance. And his mate said, go on, you should go. They said their nets were on Wednesday, like, go along, give it a go. And he was kind of umming and ahhing. And his mate said, look, the worst that could happen is, you know, they say you're a pony cricketer and you want to get in the team, but you should give it a go. So the horse is persuaded and he decides he'll go along to the nets on the Wednesday. So he goes along to the nets, he introduces himself to the captain. Naturally, the captain is a little bit taken aback that there's a horse here for nets. But he says, do you know what, we're going to be one player short, so have a go. Go in the nets, see what you like. So the horse is there in the nets, batting, looks really good. Looks like one of their better players, probably. Even their opening bowler, left arm over, who looks a little bit like Tintin, smashing him about, no problems whatsoever. So it comes to the end of the net session, the captain goes, you're in. We need a player, I think you'll do the job, you're in. The horse, absolutely delighted, says, yeah, brilliant, I'll be there. The captain says, the only thing is, you've joined halfway through the season, but you're going to have to pay half subs, so about 40 quid. And the horse says to him, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure about that. He said, can I not just like cut the outfield or something? And the captain says, no, we tried that with a player before. It didn't really work out. You have to pay full price. And the horse is umming and ahhing. And the captain says, look, we're going to give you your own kit. Like our 15 captain has recently given up. He can give you his shirt. You'll definitely fit into it. I mean, it might be a bit baggy, but, you know, wear that on Saturday and you'll be all right. He says, okay. Saturday comes and captain goes out, wins the toss, comes back in, and he says, look, normally we bowl first, but I've looked at the deck, and to be honest, like, Jimmy Lyons is opening the bowling for us, and the green is nowhere near great. The deck is nowhere near green enough for him to take any wickets, so we're going to have to bat first. So it sends the horse out to open the batting. Everyone very intrigued. There's a bit of a crowd kind of watching, thinking, what the hell is going on? And it is a bit weird because, you know, the horse is on strike, and normally the umpire hears someone ask for 2 legs when they take guard, but he asked for 4 legs. So that was a bit they had to work their way around that one. But anyway, so the bowler runs in, first ball, horse smacks him for 6. Bowler runs in again, horse pulls him for 6. Third and fourth ball, similar, cut for 6, slog sweat for 6. Ball 5, bowler runs in again, horse kind of plays a ramp shot over the keeper's head for 6. And last ball of the over, bowler runs in fast as he can, and the horse smashes him right into the next field for 6. So they're 36 without loss after 1 over, and the team are like going very excited, and they're like, "Oh, skipper, this was a good signing. Like, he's looking good." Then in between the over, he kind of has a little chat with the other opening batsman, and he goes, "You're hitting them well today. You're looking good." And he goes, "Yeah, well, yeah, I'm doing all right. It's I'm using this kind of New Balance bat. It's all right. It's a new one, but I haven't really timed anything that well today." Anyway, second over, other batsman is on strike. So opening bowler runs in, batsman kind of pushes it into a gap, has a think about a single and says no. Second ball of the over, bowler runs in, batsman pushes it into a gap, easy single there. Yes, shouts yes, runs down the pitch, halfway down the pitch. Horse is not really moving. Shouts yes again, continues to move, continues to run towards the horse. Horse is not moving. Meanwhile, fielder picks the ball up, throws it into the wicket keeper, takes the bails off. The batsman's out, run out. The batsman is absolutely infuriated because the horse hasn't moved. He goes, "You idiot, why didn't you run?" And the horse says, "If I could run, I wouldn't be playing cricket."
Very good, Christopher. Very good.
Okay, so that's the cricketing horse for you. Right, so the reason we have Harry on here today is for his all-time Heath 11. So I'm very intrigued to hear who he's got in it. I'm sure he can give you a bit of kind of reasoning as to why certain people are in there. He might even say, "Oh, this person nearly made it," etc., etc., etc. But over to you, Harry. Who's in your team? Who's opening the batting for you?
Right, so Jerry Shepherd is opening the batting. Yeah. Jerry, we signed from Blackheath Wanderers back in the late 80s, early 90s. Jerry was a left-handed bat, and he was a right-handed off-spin bowler. And in those days, you didn't have caps on your over allocation. So Jerry was very much one person who wanted to get value for his £8 subs. So there were times where he bowled 24 overs. Then they reduced it to 15 overs. And Jerry used to bowl 15 overs and open the batting. But he was a really, really good cricketer. And Jerry's claim to fame was literally every Saturday night, he sat in exactly the same place at the bar, drinking pints of ale. And then he'd leave his car in the car park, and every Saturday, and then he'd run back every Sunday morning, pick up his car and go home. But he was a really, really good cricketer. Very, very motivated, hated it when there was a misfield, etc. And he played for us for a number of years. He could have stayed at Blackheath Wanderers when they had a very good side, but he joined us, and that's the year we finished second, I think, in the old South Thames League. When Jerry was opening the batting.
Is it true? I've heard a story about him that when he was captain, sometimes he'd kind of take himself off if there was a good batsman.
Oh yeah,
at the crease. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. Normally it was Stevie Lou or Munaf or Harry, whatever. You're on next. Yeah, Jerry was probably the most selfish cricketer that I've played with, selfless and selfish. And he was obsessed with his stats, both batting and bowling. But in fairness to him, he topped the batting stats for us and the league over a couple of years, and he topped our bowling stats as well. And it was a shame when we probably picked him up about 3 or 4 years too late to get a real good 10 years out of him. But he was a captain that I played under. And within this team that I've got, there's 4 or 5 captains I played under, actually. Yeah. So opening the batting with Jerry is Wayne Skippy Capes. So I've picked 2 overseas players, which is a little bit controversial.
Very controversial, yeah. Go on.
Absolutely. But of all the overseas players that I've had the dubious pleasure of playing with, Skippy was probably the most dedicated. Right-handed opening bat. He ground out his runs, and he was one of the first players actually when he come over to score 500 runs for us in a season. And he was only here one season, and he scored over 800 runs that season. He played for us on Saturdays. He played in the Sunday League, and he was a really good lad as well. We sorted him out a job. He was on the building sites, lived with 92 across from the club. And just a real fantastic lad. But technically, of all the players we've had overseas, he was technically the best player by quite a way.
Did he bowl?
So, no, didn't bowl. Another selfish person, but a good selfish person. He wasn't like 92. Who used to bat 5 balls, he used to open the batting, bat 5 balls, and then on the 6th ball of every over, come one, and then finish the innings on 50 not out. No, he was a good player. He was a very good player. Didn't bowl.
Okay. Right, in at 3.
In at 3, Dave Scoggins. Now, Dave Scoggins was the opening bat when I first joined back in the 80s. And he was one of the first players actually to wear a helmet. And it was a white helmet as well that he used to wear. Dave was a very aggressive bat and was also probably the best short leg fielder that I've had the pleasure of playing with. And when we used to have quickies in those days, because when Brimson used to play for us, both Brimson, who went to play for Leicester, and his brother, Scoggins at short leg was such a good catcher of the ball. And then Dave went on to play. Dave moved down to Sandwich, played for Dover, and opened the batting with Justin Langer when Langer was at Dover. And then he moved on to play for Sandwich, and he was still playing for Sandwich up until about 5 years or so ago. Dave would come in at number 3. Very, very good cricketer. Used to bowl a bit of left arm, a bit similar to yourself actually. Left arm rubbish. Yeah, we used to get the odd over out of Dave. Because in those days, of course, it wasn't just there were all draws as well. So it wasn't just win, loss. You could actually draw, winning draw and losing draw. So sometimes Dave would just flick it up. But a very, very good cricketer.
Okay. I think I vaguely heard of Dave, so I think probably from you. Okay, number 4.
Number 4, you've definitely heard of because he's still playing now, and that's Chris Tarrant.
All right, yeah.
So again, when I joined, Chris used to bat at number 3 in those days, left-handed bat, and of course he used to keep wicket for us as well. Again, technically, his left-handed cover drive was super to watch. He used to accumulate runs rather than hit the ball aggressively. But his dad was umpire, so he was never given LBW, certainly from one end. And his mum was scorer, so Chris used to do a lot for the club, but a really good player. Chris played for the Lanians as well. And then he went to Colves, came back to us, and then so he'd had 2 spells with us. And then, of course, he's still now playing at Colves, and I believe there was the possibility of representing England over 60s this winter, but whether that will go ahead or not is another matter. But a very, really good player to watch.
I knew he played for Kent. I didn't particularly know that there was over 60. Okay, good.
Yeah, well, funny enough, the over 60s or the over 50s or whatever England team is still stuck in South Africa due to lockdown. And the earliest they can come back apparently is July.
Oh, goodness me. That's mad.
I know.
Would Chris Tarrant have the gloves for you in this team, or is there someone else?
No. Someone else has got the gloves, and probably someone else you've played with and known a little bit later.
Okay. Right, number 5.
Number 5, well, there's not a Heath legend team without this person who would also be the all-rounder in the team, which, of course, is Louis, Dave Curtis.
Hey.
Dave batted all manner of places. When I joined, he used to be in the middle order because he used to be a first change bowler, sort of a bit quicker than medium pace, but he used to bat at sort of 4, 5 or 6. And then he turned himself into an opening bat, actually, and he was a very aggressive opening bat. Technically a good player, struggled off his legs. He was a good off in the V was his shot. I remember when we played Bickley Park, baking hot day, and before the game they were giving us a bit of gin. We were down the bottom or whatever, and they were top, and they had this pretty mouthy opening bowler, and Louis stuck him back in Danson Park on the 4th ball of the match. And this bowler just looked at him, and just Louis was just standing there in the middle of the pitch, just laughing at him. He's putting back over his head. And he got 100 that day, Louis. And then we were sitting there, we got 180 odd, which he got 100. We were sitting at tea, and Louis was at the bar. And I looked at him, and all of a sudden, you know, when you see someone that's got sunstroke, you just see them going redder and redder and redder. Yeah. I looked at him and said, "Are you all right?" And he just collapsed. He just fell off the chair. He just collapsed in the bar. And we managed to sort of resuscitate him, and he played he did actually come out and field. But a fantastic man, real club man, super bat. He was very aggressive, and when he turned himself into an opening bat, he played a lot more attacking shots. You know, he came back to us 6 or 7 years ago. Unfortunately, he wasn't at his best for age and agility or lack of agility, what have you. But there's you couldn't have a team without Louis in it. Louis the Lip, got some fantastic stories about him. A true Heath, proper person.
Yeah, I've played a few games with Louis, and actually you mentioned him coming back. He actually came back when I was 2's captain. I remember one particular game at Ashford. We didn't have an umpire, and I got out early, I think, and I had to umpire, and he was on strike. I think it was Cooper was bowling to him, and they went up for a caught behind, and I thought, I don't think he's hit it, so I gave it not out, and I was getting absolute dog's abuse, and like Louis just kind of stood there. And then the next ball, he smashes him back over his head for 6, and then gives him a little. That's number 5. Right, number 6.
Number 6. Well, this is my second overseas. And also an Australian, and his name was his real name was Jason Bow, but typical Heath, we used to call him Riddick after the old Riddick Bowe championship boxer.
Oh.
So Riddick was here for 1 season, and the most talented cricketer I've ever played cricket with, but the most lazy and the most not obnoxious attitude, but literally couldn't give a monkeys. Could not give a monkeys. He bowled the best spell I've ever seen. Left arm, he was quick on his day. But he just, 1 week he'd bowl quick, the next week he'd just bowl medium pace. But we played Nat West away, and I was at first slip, and Murray was wicketkeeper. And he was, no word of a lie, he was bowling left arm over, and he was bowling, I don't know what pace, a good pace. And he was swinging the ball. So first and second slip were actually taking the ball when he was pitching it on leg or middle, and it was just going like an absolute boomerang.
Oh, wow.
And he was quick on his day. He should have got double the amount of runs he got. He'd get bored. He'd get to 40, and then he'd just try the most audacious whack or whatever. But I remember when we played in the Jeff Taylor game, so the old boys against the club, and Riddick played for the old boys, and he opened the batting with Louis, and I was opening the bowling at the time. And Riddick turned around to Louis and said, "You see the tree in the corner over by the clubhouse?" And Louis said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm going to put H over there, 4th ball of the first over." And what did he do? 4th ball of the first over, he stuck me back over the tree. It was still going up as it went over the tree. And he again, the guy was just a nut job. He used to drink before playing on a Saturday and a Sunday, and he should have got 60 wickets and 1,000 runs. But we had the most fantastic time playing cricket with him. He played the year we finished second when I think Blackheath Wanderers beat us to the title. And he played that year. And I think if Riddick had played to his absolute ability, would have won the league that year.
That sounds like a good player.
Was a good player. Number 7, I'm actually going to do Andy Wishy. And the reason I'm putting Wishy in at number 7 is Wishy will be the skipper. I've already mentioned that Jerry was skipper, Chris Tarrant was skipper at the time, but Wishy I played probably the most under when he was captain. A very, very laid-back fella. If you were 10 for 3, you'd want Wishy coming in. Didn't hit the ball particularly hard. He was a nudger, 1s and 2s. A very good captain, very, very good captain. He knew where to place the field. Very intelligent, and because he'd played for so long, he knew the opposition's strengths and weaknesses, which made him an even better captain. A good player to have on your side, and we were very consistent under Wishy as skipper. We never quite made it, but we were never down the bottom, and we were probably 1 or 2 players short of having a really, really good side under Wish. Wishy went on to play for Bexley after he left us, perhaps we just missed his 1 or 2 best years when he went on to play for Bexley. But another club man, played for us for quite a while, and he's in at number 7 and skipper in the side.
Is he just a bat, or can he bowl at all?
No, just a bat.
Okay.
Just a bat.
Oh, number 8.
Number 8 is the keeper. And it's probably someone that you have played with. Again, he skippered the first team for a while. It was Andy Mosedale.
Yeah.
So Murray, when he first joined, played in the 2s, and he'd keep and bat at sort of 8 or 9. And then he put himself up to number 3, played 2 or 3 years. And in those days, he was in the 2s with Louis, Lockie, Neil Edwards. We had a very, very good second 11 in those days as well. And then when he put himself up at number 3, he started scoring runs for fun. He's probably the person who's got the most 50s that I've played with. A nuggety batsman, a typical northerner, to be honest. It'd get in your face as well. And he skippered for 5 or 6 years once he made it into the first team. When Chris Tarrant left, Murray was the natural successor in the first team. And again, didn't score many 4s. I never saw him hit a 6. That was Louis' job. But a very good cricketer and a very, very good wicket keeper, especially standing up. He kept to Lockie for a long time. And standing up to Lockie wasn't an easy thing to do. But he did it. So Murray's in at number 8 as the wicket keeper.
Yeah, cool.
So I'll come to the 9-10 Jack of the 3 bowlers, the 3 main bowlers. So Andy Ashworth is at number 9. Andy Ashworth, when I joined, was the captain, another northerner, and one of the most aggressive, obnoxious cricketers I've ever played with. He would wind the opposition captain up at the toss. And he, all the way through a match, he would wind up the opposition. A real aggressive cricketer. He used to bowl right arm. He wasn't off spin as such, but he had the most amazing quicker ball, where literally he would just ping his arm. He'd come off 2 paces, and he would just ping his shoulder right at the last minute. And the amount of bowls and LBWs he got. He was another one like Jerry Shepherd, though, that he used to love coming on at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So he'd want the opening bowlers and the first changers to try and nick him 4 or 5 wickets. And then he often got fifer, because in those days, so you could bowl 15 overs or more. He'd often get 5 for 30 and mop up the tail. And I'm fairly sure he won the Bowler of the Year back in 1988 or 89 for the whole of the South Thames League, which was a good achievement, bearing in mind who we used to play against. He was only there a couple of seasons, though, because then he moved to the Isle of Man with his wife. and we haven't seen. And now he's in New Zealand. But for the limited time that I played with him, he was a really, really good cricketer.
Yeah, I haven't heard of him actually. We've got 3 Andys in the team now, all at 7, 8.
Yep, I know.
I hope there's no confusion there.
So, number 10, one of the best bowlers that I've played with, Munaf Imam, affectionately known as Reggie. Reggie was Andy Mosedale's friend, another northern lad, and he joined us, would have been early 90s that he joined us, and he moved the ball both ways. Opening bowler, quicker than medium pace, moved the ball both ways. He didn't get the wickets that he deserved. I think if we'd have had a specialist first and second slip in those days, he would have taken barrel loads of wickets. Got so many nicks, batsmen to nick, and good batsmen. Because he opened the bowling week in, week out. He was bowling at the best players week in, week out. And his figures never justified how well he bowled. He was with us for about 4 or 5 years until he moved to South Africa. In fact, a lot of these players aren't even in England anymore. Before he moved to South Africa. And it's a shame that he moved because Stevie Lou had just joined at that time. And him and Stevie Lou were a really good opening partnership. And Stevie Lou was unlucky not to get in this team because another one, though, whose ability never quite made it, I don't think. He should have been a better player. But Reggie, the best in-swinging bowler I've seen for a long, long time. So he'd be number 10, left-handed bat as well.
So did he have drops at slip?
Yeah, quite a few drops of slip. And I had a very fond memory of running round the graveyard at Torquay on tour with Reggie and Murray at 2 o'clock in the morning with water pistols as well.
Yeah.
Back in the day. And so number 11, I think you probably know who number 11 is. I've already mentioned his name a couple of times. And Di Locke will, of course, be number 11. Yeah, legend. Lockie would be in the team, one, because he's one of the best left-arm bowlers that I've seen, full stop, not just who I've played with, but who I've seen, full stop. 2, one of the most laid-back players you would ever want to meet, unless you're playing Bickley away when he wants to smash you in the face with a cricket bat, which is no problem. But also a club legend. Lockie used to do a lot of work to the ground. He'd be sitting at the bar, same place at the bar every Saturday night, get his 3 or 4 pints in before his wife used to phone up. And just an all-round pleasant man, and such a shame that, you know, in his mid-50s for his life to be taken away from him. But he used to come off one pace. Again, he was sort of an in-swinging left-arm spinner. And he'd pin you middle and leg, And that's why Murray kept to him so well, because Murray was unsighted a lot of the time because the ball was swinging in. But such a good bowler. One of the best bowlers, and a good friend of mine back in the 80s and 90s. I spent a lot of time with Lockie and Louis. The 3 of us would have a good drink on a Saturday night.
I remember...
and that's my...
That's a very good team. I was just
Sorry, Chris.
going to say about Lockie, there were 2 things that I remember particularly. I love that he always bowled off one step, and he'd always say to the batsman, "Very short run up that," before he bowled. Like, the biggest understatement you've ever heard is no run up. that really always amused me. And I remember that I played a 2s game, and him and Pony Skip Paul Farrell were opening the bowling, and we'd got not a lot. I think we'd got about 140, 150. And those 2 bowled, like, Lockie obviously no run up, Pony in those days not a very long run up. We bowled 30 overs for something ridiculous like about 30 runs. No time whatsoever, and before you knew it, we'd won that game. I don't even think they took that many wickets on that day, but just they were so economical, and we got through the overs so quickly. And after that, just came in and swung the bat. Lockie, great bowler.
Yeah, great bowler.
Were there any near misses in that 11? You said Stevie Lou. Was there anyone else who was close to making it?
Yep. Yeah, Ethan would have been close to making it actually as an opening bowler, because you could see the reason I went with just the 3 bowlers at the back end was because you got Shepherd, Curtis, and Bowe, that were all good bowlers in their own right. Dave Golding was another one that was close to making it as a very aggressive opening bat, and Dave would have done. Unfortunately, Dave owned a shop he owned a key cutting shop on a Saturday, so he could never make the start time. And then he was another ex Blackheath Wanderers. In terms of current, I don't know. It's hard for me in terms of current, because a lot of the current players, what George was saying to me, oh, what about so-and-so and so-and-so? But a lot of the current players I actually haven't played a great deal with, because of playing second 11 cricket over the last 6 or 7 years. But yeah, there were a number of players. Phil Bone actually was another one that would have been on the periphery, because Boney could bat, Boney could bowl. Another one whose talent just didn't quite. Another one who should have, in my opinion, gone on to be better than what he did. And there were a couple of youngsters. Affectionately known as what? Sorry.
Phil Bone is affectionately known as before play cricket to a lot of the members who weren't there when he would always say that he used to 100 every week, but it's just not on the website. Yeah. He was one of those.
No, it's not. Boney was another one who turned himself into an opening bat. And Boney used to open with Jerry, and it was so you used to have Jerry at one end, who was so focused, who counted his runs, a bit like Uncle John does these days. Jerry would count his runs, and Boney at the other end couldn't give a monkeys, And you'd say to him on a Saturday, you'd go around, "Are you doing your availability for the next week?" Well, yeah, I suppose so. He really was like that. But he was there. So Golding, Curtis, Bone, and Ethan were probably the 4 that were closest.
Yeah. No, Ethan, very good bowler, to be fair. Very good. Okay, so that was Harry Monk's all-time Heath 11. If you're watching this now and you fancy having a go at that, then please comment below on our Facebook page and give us your all-time Heath 11. I think what Harry said a minute or two ago is it's about the people that he's played with. So there might be some people that you think, oh, why has he not picked him? Why has he not picked him? I think the point about your 11 is people you've played with a lot, and people that you've seen be successful when you've played with them, not just, oh, he was at the club at the same time I was, so I'll put him in there. You kind of have that personal affinity with certain people.
Yep.
But that was very interesting, actually. Thanks for that. That looks like a pretty decent side. I might give a go of my Heath 11 on the Facebook page as well, but I won't go through it now. Right, on to our next section, which is 10 of the best, which is a fairly quick fire round. I'm just going to say, what is your best, whatever, and then Harry's going to give me his answer on that. So, 10 of the best. Number 1, best away ground.
Linden Park.
Okay.
And Linden Park, mainly because last year when me and Charlie got the winning runs at Linden Park, it was just nice to be with your son. But I like playing cricket there. I've not played there often, but a nice place to play cricket. Yeah,
no, I remember that. Come one when you've hit it straight to point. Charlie, good luck, mate. And he got there, didn't he? So.
I'm surprised I didn't fall over and run myself out like I did at Bickley Park 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, number 2, best tee.
Oh, funny enough, when Michael did this last week, it's either Rodmersham or Broadstairs. The tee we had at Broadstairs 2 years ago was just absolute different gravy, just incredible. So I'd have to say Broadstairs.
Broadstairs. Okay. Your best performance as an individual
for the Heath?
Yeah.
It would have been a Sunday League game against Holborough Valley, where I scored 70 not out, and took 6 for 18 in the same match.
Oh wow, that's
yeah. On a Saturday league, it would have been away at Rodmersham, 6 for 5 away at Rodmersham. And my best score is 49 against Lloyds when I batted at number 10 and scored 49 against Lloyds.
decent. Okay, number 4, best game you've ever played in.
The Bickley Park tie, when it was 185 all out, 185 all out when Louis got the 100 I mentioned, when they needed one to win, and I'm sure it was Jerry Shepherd got the last wicket, and it was a tie. They were second or top, and we were bottom or third from bottom, whatever, to that game.
Okay. Your best mate at Bexley Heath Cricket Club. Now that, for you, I think that can be someone that doesn't play for the club. Yes.
Oh wow! I think overall, in all the years that I've been there, it would be Lockie. It would be Lockie, because when I joined, he was there. I used to do a lot of, because in those days we had to volunteer. The cricket club had to run the bar on a Monday night, so me and Lockie used to take it in turns, and then we'd go down there and support each other and what have you. So in all the years I've been doing it, it still would be Lockie.
Yeah, legend. At number 6, best 6 or biggest 6 you've seen. Now that can be a Heath player, or that could be, an opponent.
It was off me. It was Riddick. It was Riddick hitting me 4th ball of the match in a 100-over game over the tree at Danson Park. Louis been up there as well, but yeah, Riddick, 1991 or whatever it was. Okay, definitely.
Modest of you to suggest a ball that you bowled as well. Well done.
I know.
Okay, number 7, best individual performance you've seen, and that can be opponent or a Heath player.
It has to be the fella, Sherwin Gordon, Catford Wanderers, when we were 85 for 1, 92 all out.
Oh my God.
He took 8 for, and it was one of the quickest 5 overs that anyone has ever experienced.
Oh,
and
wow.
He absolutely, I remember Boney, Jerry, people didn't want to go out and bat, and it was me and Lockie 10 and 11, and I turned a single down with Lockie. Lockie put it down to my leg or whatever, and I turned it down, and then Sherwin castled him next ball.
That might lead on quite nicely to the next one, which number 8 is the best bowler you've ever faced.
Dean Headley's up there. When he bowled, he did actually bowl a proper spell for Upchurch.
Yeah.
When we played them. But consistently, it would have been Paul Neal, who used to play for NatWest back in the old days, who was quick. He used to kick off from the sight screen, and he used to bowl every week, would bowl 25 overs. So in a 50-over match, or 48-over match it was, I think, he used to bowl 24 overs every week. A very, very good bowler. Moved the ball both ways, and he was quick as well.
So could he maintain his speed would he still be bowling decent in his 25th over?
Yep,
Danger.
Absolutely. But because he could move the ball both ways as well, even when he slowed down, he was still an extremely dangerous bowler.
Okay, number 9, the best batter you've bowled to.
Well, I bowled to Fulton when he was at Ashford 3 or 4 years ago. Also, Roland Butcher when he was at Kenley, who represented England all those years ago. But it would have to be the overseas at Rodmersham for years, Pete Botha.
Oh, yeah. Smash every year.
Yeah. Really good player who bowled as well. So, yeah, it would be Pete Botha.
Okay. And number 10, who is the best soap dodger you have played with?
Oh my God! Well, do you know, Michael mentioned obviously Ethan. Shookie's got to be up there.
Yeah.
I think Shukala has to be up
Yeah.
there. Yeah, it's got to be
Yeah.
Shukala.
I think he wins that one quite comfortably, to be fair. Right. Okay. Our last thing that we're going to do, our last little bit, is called Maiden 100. So you've got 10 questions. Each question you get right worth 10 runs, so to speak. So if you get all 10 right, you get 100. But Ben Moore has done these questions, and if you get 10 right, I'd be very, very surprised. If you get 5 right, you've done well here.
Okay.
Basically, I spoke to Ben about the first one, and he was a little bit less than complimentary. He didn't really like the cricket in pun 11, and he said the questions were too easy and blah, blah, blah. So I said, okay, you come up with the questions then. So he's come up with a few questions. I think he wanted a bit more attention, but anyway, here we go. Question number 1. Which individual has scored the most runs in a test match?
In a test match, Brian Lara, 375.
No, the correct answer is Graham Gooch. He scored 456 against India, so I think he got a triple ton.
Oh, 333. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Question 2. What is the highest first-class team score of all time?
Wow. First-class team score. 850 for 4.
No, it's... I have kind of vaguely heard of this. Victoria were playing New South Wales, and they scored 1,107. That was in 20. That was quite... Must have been a good deck or some poor bowling, or both. Question 3. What is England's best test average opening pair?
Cook and Strauss. Cook and Strauss.
It's Jack Hobbs and Herbert Sutcliffe, who apparently averaged 87.81. These ones start to get a bit more, a bit easier now at 4. Right, question 4. Don Bradman registered a second ball duck in his final test match innings at the Oval in 1948. How many runs did he need to finish with a career test match average of 100?
I think it was 4.
Correct, it is 4. Right, we're off the mark. That's 10 runs. There we go.
You know me, Chris. I'm a number 11 back, so off the mark on the 4th ball is quite good.
Yeah, no, that is pretty good, to be fair. The first 3 I thought were quite savage. Question 5. Who has the most dismissals by a wicketkeeper? Or who's achieved the most dismissals in World Cups? Which wicketkeeper? So it would include things, obviously, in catches as well.
World Cups.
54.
54.
This person's got 54 in the World Cups in which he's played.
So we're looking at what Gilchrist, Alex Stewart, Pakistan, India, Dhoni. Yeah, we'll go Dhoni.
Dhoni. No, Kumar Sangakkara.
Oh, right, yeah.
Probably keeping to Murali. He probably got quite a few stumpings and stuff, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Question 6. During Kevin Peterson's first Test century against Australia at the Oval in 2005, he hit 7 sixes, more than Michael Atherton did in his whole Test career. How many sixes did Michael Atherton hit in his Test?
I should have asked him when he interviewed me in Bridgetown in 1994. Oh God! So we'll go for Test match sixes. We'll go for 2, Chris.
He hit 4.
4.
Yeah. Question 7. Who has bowled the fastest ball in cricket?
Shoaib Akhtar.
Correct, yeah. Shoaib Akhtar in the 2003 World Cup against England. I think he bowled it to Nick Knight, actually, from memory.
Yeah.
Okay, question 8. Jason Gillespie registered a highest test score of 201 not out, which is more than several frontline batsmen, more than Michael Atherton, more than Alex Stewart, more than Michael Vaughan, more than Mark Butcher, more than Mark Waugh even. But who did he score this 201 against?
Against, yeah. I remember it. I remember watching it. I've got a feeling it was against India.
Bangladesh,
right.
Bangladesh. I think India would be a little bit too good for him to score a double ton again.
Probably.
Okay, question 9. Who has bowled the most maidens in international cricket? And they've bowled 1,794 maidens.
So we're looking at what? McGrath, Murali, Warne, McGrath, because they bowled the most. I'm going to go for Murali.
Yes, you're correct. It is Murali. There we go. 3 answers. We're on 30. That's a decent little knock so far. And question number 10, the last question. Out of 335 Ashes tests that have been played, there have been 91 draws. Who, however, has won the most test Ashes, England or Australia?
Most test Ashes. So that's 260. I'm going to go for Australia, Chris.
Yeah, correct. Australia with 136 have won the most.
Okay.
Not bad, though. You got 4, so you got 40, and I think some of those questions were like unbelievably difficult. What I'm going to do is at some point, I'm going to Zoom Mike Barker, hopefully today, and I'm going to give him exactly the same questions, but it'll be before we put this on, and we'll see how he gets on with those. Then, and in 4 weeks, we'll get other people to answer 10, which Ben Moore comes up with.
Okay.
Thank you very much for joining us, H. I've very much enjoyed that. I hope.
You're welcome. So have I.
I hope people enjoy watching it as well. And as I said before, if you would like to, please comment on the 11 that H has picked. And please have a go yourself with your all-time Heath 11. So thank you very much for joining in. And we will see you soon. Thank you very much. Goodbye.